All righty. Hey, everybody. Regina Andler here, and it is time for Coffee with Regina. And I have my special guest, Andrea Brunswick, with me today. Andrea, did you bring your coffee along? I heard you stirring a little while ago.
You know what? It's my first, and I'm doing something different today in it. I put a bit of butter because I've been hearing this thing about coffee and olive oil and coffee and butter, and I thought, oh, I'm not.
Well, that's interesting. Somebody told me about that before. We'll have to talk about that.
Yeah, we'll
Um,
have to talk coffee recipes for sure.
There you go. So, Andrea is a creative life strategist for women 50 and older who are frustrated with where they are presently at life. And she knows this firsthand because when she turned 40, she became a widow. And that was definitely not in her 5 year plan. And then she was a single mom of two young children facing the unknown, and she needed to learn how to accept the new journey. Now it's been 20 plus years of the ups and downs and a whole lot of messes in between. And she knew God was calling her because he had a plan for her life, even though she didn't understand what was going on. And so she said yes. And guess what she's doing now, folks? She's helping others who are in that same boat figure out who they want to be when they grow up and live through all of this stuff. So welcome, Andrea.
Oh my God, Regina, thank you. I'm really excited. Because I love the topic, like the title of your podcast, coffee. Okay, all it needs to do is have the word coffee in it, and I'm there. I'm very happy. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
I'm so excited to have you on. As a business consultant on my end, we talk business all the time. And we also talk about the whole thing about that whole life business balance kind of thing. And there's just so many people who, you know what, I'm just going to say it the way it is coming in my head because
Yeah.
I find it to be a very bad thing. And it's the idea of you have to hustle and grind and do all of this stuff if you are in business. And that is just so wrong. And from a life standpoint, man, does that just throw you off balance. So talk a little bit about, what you think
All
about that.
right. Okay. Yeah.
I know you have opinions on
Okay.
that.
Now, do you really want to get me started? That's the question, Regina. Yeah. So, listen, I was raised by parents that the philosophy was age is just a number. Okay. And I fully embody that. I don't believe that a certain age has to be a certain way. And I was thinking about that this morning. And I'm bringing that up because you bring up the hustle and grind culture. And I find, yes, Regina, when I was in other decades of my life, when I was other numbers, like, in my 20s, my 30s, and my 40s, and I see it online. And when they talk about the hustle and grind, it really naturally is coming from that demographic. Because let's face it, I don't know about you, man. I'm going to be 62, and I don't want to say I don't have energy because I do, and I go to the gym 4 to 5 days a week and do classes and all of that, but I don't have the mental. It's the mental capacity anymore for the hustle and grind because, in all honesty, well into my 50s, I felt like that's what I had to do. As you said, like even, I felt it before I had children and my husband was alive. And then I felt it when I was in business and I was a mom and I was married and taking care of a mother. Everything was hustle and grind, and you just had to keep hustling. And, those nights of getting to sleep at like 1:30 in the morning, then you got to get your kids up for school at 7, and then you got to and on and on and on. I can't do it, and I don't want to do it. And that's where I'm finding a lot of women today. I can't speak for men because I'm not one, and I don't work with male clients. Not that I don't want to. I just find that that's really not my place to do it. That being said, you brought up, I call it BS. I really call the work balance thing. It's like the whole time management.
Yep.
I say BS. You cannot manage your time. You cannot manage these things. Can you do your best to not constantly be multitasking so that you can create some form of balance in your life and within your business? Most definitely. You can do your best, but if you're fully expecting that, I don't know. I think that's the problem sometimes with expectations. We're really let down.
Yeah, I mean, I talk about time management a lot, and what you said, and even when we're talking about balance, right? Work-life balance is a misnomer as well, because sometimes it's heavy on the life side, sometimes it's heavy on the business side. It's like, if I'm on vacation, you know what, it's heavy on the life side. I'm not thinking about business, so there's no balance there because I'm not doing anything with business. If I'm focused on something, doing a class or something like that, I'm all business. So work-life balance, when you think about it, it's all about the grand scheme of it balancing out at the end. It's
Yes.
it's not about today I'm going to have work-life balance. It's like, overall, what are you creating for yourself? Are you building a lifestyle business? Are you creating something that is not just nurturing your need for helping others with whatever your business is? It's also nurturing you and allowing you the time you need to actually live your life. I mean, because why are we doing any of the stuff that we do, right?
Well, that's a great question, Regina. It's like, why are we doing the things? And if I could just add to that, because I don't. I mean, I know that I'm uniquely created by God, and I'm so grateful for that. But I'm not unique, if you understand what I'm trying to say. And the same way life kicked me hard for a number of years, and it was a back to back to back of kicking, of losses, of my son going through a very bad depression from grief. And my daughter, about almost 2 years into his depression, gets hit by a car. And now I'm dealing with a struggling 15-year-old who has major post-traumatic stress. And we have a loss. There was no balance.
Wow, yeah, the hits just kept coming.
The hits just kept coming.
And
Right.
and yet you found another side instead of playing victim to all of that.
Well, okay. Thank you. And I received that. If I look back in it, I did feel like a victim in a sense. I don't think I ever fully came across like that, but I think internally, I mean, really, honestly, like, if I'm being really truthful with myself, I definitely think I felt somewhat. I know that I self-victimized myself more than I felt like a victim, if that makes any sense to you.
Yep,
Right?
it does. Yep.
Yeah. And it was flipping hard, Regina, and then it spun my life fully out of control, and I blew my life up, and and then my kids and I, we were evicted from the only home that they knew, somewhere where I was living for 24 years, because, in all honesty, life had kicked me. That one last kick was just one too hard, and it literally broke me. And listen, when we're business owners, it's a whole different thing than when you have an employer. Like, when you get up in the morning and you get dressed and you go to your job, and then from your job description of what's expected from you, or your employer tells you what they need from you today, you do it. But I don't know about you, but I know that whole being, what do they say, like self-motivating and self-initiated and all of these things, as wonderful as it sounds, and as much as a lot of us really want to be able to fully show up and embody that, it's not always the easiest thing to do.
Right.
At least it wasn't for me. And, I pay attention to what's going on around, in the online space and the real world space. And I would say that is something that is challenging a lot of women today, is that, and then life kicks them hard, and, just stuff happens that we're really not prepared for, especially for the business owner. I don't know about you. Tell me if you can relate to this. So building a business was something I had never done before, and I needed to create this focus, like that, they say to have that laser focus. And so you're so focused on that one thing, and then all of a sudden it's like you take your focus off of that, and you look around, and it's like chaos all around. And we really need to be supported in dealing with their chaos, in managing the chaos. And I think That's the message that I really want to get out there, and I think it's wonderful work-life balance, managing that. But I think what comes in the middle of the work and of the balance is the chaos. And when you can really learn to manage the chaos, you're really creating much more of a balance in the two other areas. How do you feel about that?
So as you're saying that whole thing, the only thing that's going through my head is you get from the chaos comes clarity. And that's the whole thing, is that sometimes you get so wrapped up in the chaos that you can't see what's past the chaos. And it's been my experience, and many of my clients and everybody that I work with is, yeah, like you said, with business and that kind of thing. I'm not going to lie. I flip-flopped when I first started my businesses. I wasn't sure. Well, actually, my first business was a computer business, and I did computer stuff for 30 something years. And then when I was doing consulting on the side, it was a side gig for me. And then I started doing personal development consulting. It's, the life strategist type stuff like you do. And every time I was talking to people, because I was talking to business people, we ended up in business conversations. And so it was like I flip-flopped and I said, you know what? Yeah, I really like doing this life strategist stuff because I love helping people live better lives, but I'm really good at this business stuff because I've been doing it for so long. And so I flipped and went there. And in the middle of every transition, yeah, it was massive chaos. So don't let anybody ever tell you, for all the people watching this, don't let anybody ever tell you there's going to be no chaos, because, I don't believe that you can have life or business or anything without the chaos. It's knowing how to stop and identify the clarity that comes from the chaos. That is that peace that kind of flips the switch and gets you to move forward to go to that other side. So instead of being the victim, you become empowered to go, you know what? I'm not going to be a victim anymore. I'm going to take everything. Yeah. Was it crappy? Was it lousy? Was it challenging? Was it chaotic? Yeah, absolutely it was. And what did I get out of that? What do I know that I don't want anymore? And what do I actually want?
Two awesome questions that I don't know, but I find the majority of people are afraid to ask themselves, what do I want?
Why do you think that is? Why do you think they're afraid to ask?
Because they don't want to hear the answer.
Okay.
Truth be told. Listen, especially, let's remove the business part of it, but let's just really focus on the life part for a second. So you're married for quite some time, and you have your children and you raise them, and you're not quite sure if you want to stay in that marriage or not. You don't really want to ask yourself that because you really don't want to know the answer, whether it be a yes or whether it be a no. But often if it's a no, because if it's a no, and then you've got the kids, and then what do we, because it's going to cause disruption, right? What do I want? And
well, generally speaking, if you're asking yourself that question, the answer is.
It could be. No, but it could be. And it might not be. Because here's another thing. We really like to point the finger at other people.
True.
So sometimes if we're asking ourselves the question, we don't want to ask ourselves. You see, we don't want to ask ourselves, like, so how am I showing up in this marriage? How am I showing up as the mother? How am I showing up as a wife? They're not listening, or they don't do, because they don't want to ask themselves. So you see, that's the trick, right? Yeah. That's a tricky thing. So you think you don't want to be in that marriage because if you're going to ask yourself, but that could now it could, or it may not have nothing to do with that. But I think when we don't ask ourselves questions, it's because we truly are afraid of the answers. And part of that answer, if like, do I want to be in this marriage? And the answer could be, well, yes, I do, but I really, I'm really showing up as a really shitty wife right now. I'm really not here supporting my husband. I'm not supporting this marriage, And I think another reason why people don't want to, women specifically, don't want to ask themselves that question is we're very conditioned to believe we can't think about ourselves. That if you place yourself first, you're being very selfish and self-centered. And that's a very bad way to be.
Yeah, in this day and age, that is actually still a stereotype for women. is that, the
Very
women are the
much.
ones who are supposed to take care of everybody else and not think of themselves, think of everybody before themselves. And it's so not true.
It's so not true. Like when you're on the airplane, right? And the flight attendant is before the flight takes off, right? And they're telling you about the whole oxygen mask. What do they say? If anybody is traveling with younger children, you need to put the oxygen mask on yourself first
Right.
before you go to assist them. And we'll understand that when we're on a plane, but we don't take that same concept here in your everyday life. I have a friend, I'm going to just share a personal. So I have a friend who I've been friends with since I'm 6, right? Because I'm born in Toronto and I've never really left. I mean, I moved to the beach for a couple of years a few years ago, but really outside of that, I've never left the country. I've never even left my province. So in any case, since all of those people that I was responsible for taking care of, that I find myself on my own at 61, and she's still married, bless her. And, she's got 3 adult kids and we're living at home. And anyways, I don't want to make like too long-winded of a story, but one day I said to her, listen, I don't have to answer to anybody anymore. So I don't have a husband that I have to phone and say, hey, I'm going to be late. I don't have a mother anymore to phone and say, Mommy, I'm going to be late. Dinner's going to be late. I don't have my kids to check in on. Don't place these expectations on me because I have to take care of myself. And sure back, if I ever use that expression with her, I cannot begin to tell you how irritated I trigger her in the most intense way. And all I meant was, I'm on my own and I need to make sure that I'm okay because I don't have people around me to check in on me. I mean, I have a great social life, don't get me wrong, but I'm not living with anybody. I live on my own. I'm by myself. I need to take care of myself first because I need to make sure that my emotional and my mental well-being is first and foremost, because when you don't have the support, like now that I don't have those people in my day-to-day life, you know that expression, you don't realize what you have till it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So even though those people you think are pushing you and making you crazy and, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. My mother's driving me absolutely insane. Or, oh my God, I could just put the pillow over my husband's face and, or my God, my kids. I remember when I was a cigarette smoker and I'd be like, how many times I thought I could just go for a pack of cigarettes. Hey kids, Mom's going to the convenience store, just never come home. I know it sounds terrible, but at the end of the day, if we all really were truthful at times, I think we've all felt like that.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right because, the bottom line is that we all have moments. So, life, business, it doesn't matter what it is. We all have moments. I have days when I wake up and it's like, I love what I do. Don't get me wrong. I love what I do. I love working with my clients. And, it's just like I'll wake up and I don't know, it's a low energy day or something, or, something is going on, or I didn't sleep well that night or something. And I wake up and it's like, oh man, I have to go do this. And I was like, but then I get up and do it and I feel good. It's just, you mentioned about going to the gym. I work out on a regular basis too. And more times than not, because sometimes I go to early morning classes, more times than not, when I wake up in the morning to go to one of those early classes, which the class starts at like 6 o'clock, 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning. And so I have to get up early because I got to drive there, get dressed, drive there and stuff like that. And I'll wake up and I'll be like, oh, seriously, I really don't feel like working out this morning. I really don't want to do this. Why am I even bothering to do this? And yet I make myself get up, I go do it. And I'll tell you, every single time, hands down, by the time I leave that workout, I'm like, I am so glad I went to work out this morning. So it's sometimes it's when you're stuck in that chaos, you kind of get yourself in this, like, the hamster wheel of everything that's wrong. And just taking, one little pause, one little step off the hamster wheel to go, okay, you know what? Well, what if I just stop doing this? What if I do something different? What will happen? I talk about I'm a one of my certifications that I have is I'm a Jack Canfield Success Principles certified trainer. And Jack Canfield his big thing. The first principle is 100% responsibility. And there's this equation that he uses. It's E plus R equals O. The event plus your response equals the outcome. So you can't control the events. You couldn't control a husband who, passed. You can't control some, getting fired from your job. There's certain things you can't control. You can't control the weather. You can't control, pandemics. We can't control this stuff. However,
government, we could go on. We could make
we could go on and on.
Get the blackboard out.
Yeah, right. And we might need a couple. But the point is that, we get to choose the response that we make. So our outcome, if our outcome is, okay, we're miserable, we feel like we're stuck, we feel like we're overwhelmed, we're drained, we're this, that, and the other thing. If we feel like that, we created that by choice. It wasn't the event that created it. It was our response to the event that created it. You get to choose your response.
You get to choose the perspective. Like, you can shift a perspective at any moment. So, I totally, when you were talking about in the morning in the gym, like, honestly, there's a war between my ears. Like, it's a battleground up here. Battleground. And yes, more mornings than not, it's like, oh my God, Andrew, you had the worst sleep, or oh my God, really? Oh my God. And then I like do the whole big to my brain,
I think I've had that same conversation.
Right. I give it the big F you. Honestly, I say that to my head, and I walk out the door and I walk to the gym, and I'll do whatever, like spin bike, whatever, before the class. And you're right, because I know the way I'm going to feel afterwards. And I also know how I'm going to feel if I don't go. Now, there's days, yes, there's days where I just can't, like, it was just for one reason or another. And coming to that acceptance of, so that I'm not being a big B to myself throughout the day. Oh, you didn't go to the gym today, Andrea. Yeah. Because, that conversation comes in the head too.
Right.
So I do believe that we can shift our perspective. I do believe we can choose our thoughts, because when you choose your thoughts, you're going to choose you choose your thoughts, and there's an attached emotion and feeling to those specific thoughts. So if when you think, I have nothing, I am nothing, I'll never be anything, well, I think you're pretty guaranteed, and the guarantee of what the outcome of your day is going to be. And it is a struggle, and it is a daily war with oneself, because we really are, it's not anybody else really that's sabotaging us or doesn't want to support us. It's ourselves. And yes, we have to be responsible and accountable to ourselves. But wouldn't the world, in all honesty, wouldn't the world be a way better place if even 70% of the population had that philosophy of, I need to take 100% responsibility for the choices that I make or the choices that I don't make? Am I choosing from my trauma? Am I making this choice and this decision from my trauma? Because if you are, you're going to get the same results you got the last time you made those decisions from your trauma. But am I making this decision and this choice from a place of being healed? Because it's our responsibility to heal ourselves. You can work with a coach like me, but I can't do the healing for you, right? You can go to a therapist, but they can't do your healing for you. You can see a psychiatrist, and they can't do the healing for you. That is the work that is given to us, but you could be facilitated. And if you work with the right person, just like a business coach, okay? I can't tell you, honestly, as I don't even really want to think about it, but in all honesty, maybe a couple tens of thousands of dollars over 18 plus years that I could really use right now, Regina. But like, I felt like I just put it in a toilet and flushed it away. But who's that on? That's on me.
Right.
That's on me.
So in your business, working with people, you would tell me a little bit about, or tell us a little bit about what you do and how you help people. And who is your ideal client?
So really my ideal client is she's 50 and over, and she's been, she's successful at what she does, but there's this, and this is so this is the way I describe her. It's like she's a beautiful car on the outside. Like she looks like, people walk past her and they're like, wow, and they admire her, right? They admire her. She looks like she's got everything going on the outside, but like the car, if you opened up the hood, there's pieces missing, there's pieces broken, there's rusted pieces. She's broken inside. She's been stuffing stuff down. She's been grinding her teeth and biting her tongue and not really learning how to properly communicate. So she's not getting those results that she wants. And like you had stated earlier, Regina, sometimes it's a matter of not really knowing what it is. And she's facing, she's facing some stuff right now. Could be a possible divorce that came after decades. Empty nesting. Her and her husband are empty nesting. It's like, oh my God, he was, he's retired now, and I was the stay-at-home wife and mother, and now he's cramping my space, and how are we going to get along, and how do I, so she's really facing some newness, this new chapter. But as she's facing this new chapter, she's bringing in the past. And how's she doing that? It's through that story that she's always told herself. And that story could be still from when she was a child and the issues that she had with her own parents, or the really broken and bad relationships. And it was something that I really recognized with myself and my own narratives. Just because I'm in personal development doesn't mean that I'm exempt. I wish that was the case.
That's why we always say every coach needs a coach.
Exactly. And I really had to get real with myself on relationships with my siblings. And I phoned my brother a few months ago, and he's a very tough exterior. He's a litigator, so he's got a lawyer's personality, but yet he's an artist. In any case.
Interesting combo.
Very interesting. Well, because my mom was an artist, so we come from a family of artists. But now he's 9 years older than me. So by the time I was 13, my sister and brother were both married and out of the house. But I had to phone him because God was doing a big work in me. And I started to think back to when I was a little girl, because he was very misunderstood because of his personality. But I started to remember things like, for any of you who are watching and remember Donny Osmond, he was like, yeah. So my brother bought me the Donny Osmond Greatest Hits double LP. Remember the LP?
Yes, I do.
And I thought, that was my brother's way of saying, I love you. But because I was this little girl and I was listening, to those around us, I didn't make that connection. And when I made that connection a few months ago, I had to phone him. And he's very uncomfortable with saying the words love. And, he's a loner. He's a lawyer. He's married, though, with 3 kids. And I don't know how many grandchildren, 5 grandchildren now, whatever. He's unique. Okay. My brother is unique. In any case, I needed to phone to say, I'm sorry. And I needed to take accountability because I probably made him feel like shit. But because he has that tough exterior, he wouldn't let me know that I hurt him.
And that's very powerful. Apology, just saying you're sorry. That releases a lot from the past. Because what I'm hearing you say, and I love the car analogy, by the way. As soon as you said the car analogy, I was like, yeah, the car looks great on the outside, but who knows that you're overdue for your oil change, or need a new air filter, or need some engine work done.
Right. Possibly even need a new engine. Never mind the work.
Right.
Right.
So as we're running a little low on time, I want to make sure that we get across like really what it is that you do. And I'm hearing that what you really do is you help people reframe their stories, their past, to get past that chaos and understand that, we're getting past that old chaos. That doesn't mean there's not going to be new chaos in the
Right, but
future
it gives you
because
I give you
chaos
the
is part of
tools.
life. Yeah.
And I also have her take a look at, listen, a thought is a thought is a thought. But the more you think that thought then becomes a belief. It gets anchored into you. Now, a lot of us, if we really take a look at our thoughts, not only are they limiting for the most part, but we'd all be really amazed to come to realize that a lot of these thoughts and these beliefs aren't ours.
Mm.
They've been passed down through the lineage, through the generations, So we need to take a look at that. It's like, it came to me a number of years ago. The Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe Humpty wasn't to be put back together, because maybe Humpty was to emerge like the phoenix. He was to rise, and his shell had to crack. And that's what we need to do. We need to really crack and release this old skin that we've been forcing ourselves to be. And if you think about it, I mean, listen, you and I have been around the block a number of times, I'm sure, by this stage of our life. And if you really think about how many times you've tried to fit yourself in somewhere, you've tried to please in that relationship, it's like taking the square peg and trying to fit it in a round hole. It's not going to happen, Regina. And then we become frustrated and angry, but we don't want to say it, or we don't understand it. I mean, listen, I have a whole bag of my own life experiences and of things that I didn't understand, and of why things happened, like why a depression happened after my dad's death. Just going to leave this here with, I didn't realize until it was probably about 22, maybe 13 years after my father's passing, that and I had seeked out professional help who didn't make connections for me.
Yeah.
I had unprocessed grief, and I was angry that my father was sick and was dying, but I didn't know I was angry. So I showed up in a certain way, not knowing.
Mm-hmm.
And then that led to one thing, and then that one thing led to another. And it turns into a snowball, which then turns into an avalanche, which then leaves us buried.
Yeah.
Under the chaos.
And that is key for what you do, is you help people get unburied. You help dig them out and get them set back on solid ground again and get them moving forward.
Yes.
So we are just about out of time here. We are out of time. I know that you have a couple free giveaways. You were
Yes,
talking
I do.
about tell us about those.
Okay, so I believe I sent you the links, and if I hadn't, I'm sure I did in that email with my bio. Look in the email.
Yeah, I didn't see them, but I'll go back and look. We want
Okay,
to make
go
sure
back
we have
and
them.
look. Yes. So one is a no sales call, but a 30-minute breakthrough. I call it a breakthrough session. It's complimentary. It's because that's really what I love to do. And if I can help her or you identify, so you're going to pick one of your major challenges that you're challenged. And I'm going to leave you with a blueprint on really what are your next steps to take, what direction to take. And then the second one is a prayer journal, and it's called Stamp It on Your Heart. And it's a very creative way to I took it from where I'm at, my own life and my own life now with God, and learning the word of God, and how do I do that, and understanding that, the word of God is a seed and it needs to be planted in good soil. So the Stamp It on Your Heart, I share my own personal scriptures. It's very creative. It's like doodling and writing, and what it does is it brings you into the vibration of appreciation and of gratitude, all the while making sure your soil is healthy and good and prosperous and abundant.
I love that. I do not have those links. I just looked real quick. Can you share those links with me?
Yes. Would you like me to put it in Messenger
No,
or email them to you?
if you just tell me what they are.
Oh, okay. All righty then. Let me see how to do that one.
Yeah, all you have to do is just tell me. What is there a link?
Yeah, I'm going to
that?
go to them right now. Give me one quick second.
Because I'll put them right in here now, and then we'll make sure that they're in the comments for anybody below who wants to have a conversation with Andrea, because I know that, her story is it's not a unique story. I mean, we all have a unique story, so it's unique, but it has a lot of common elements that a lot of us go through. So, there's some kind of chaos, some kind of something that's going on. And knowing that somebody has gotten past that and survived, I mean, just to provide that hope, to know that, hey, you know what? I don't have to live like this. I don't have to keep doing this. There's something better. I just need somebody to kind of give me a helping hand and get me past where I am right now. That's where Andrea comes in.
Thank you. And, listen, you're brilliant at what you do. And let's face it, our life stuff carries into our business life. And as much as we want to be successful in our business, we really have to take a look at our habits, the habitual thoughts, because they're addictive. Okay. Right. So for my Calendly, it's, what is it? HTTPS //Calendly.com, Andrea Brunswick /30-minute breakthrough.
All right. Well, that's too much for me to type in.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I'll tell you what, shoot me an email with that, and I will make sure that the links get put in underneath each one of the replays.
Exactly.
On all platforms, because we are streaming live right now on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on YouTube. So you shoot me those links, and I will make sure that they get entered in underneath each one of the replays, so that our listeners and watchers can go out there and connect with you. Because I love the journal idea. That is fabulous. And I think everybody should have a conversation with you. Personally.
Well, I thank you. That journal idea was very anointed, in all honesty. God said, here you go. Here you go, my dear. Yeah. I really want this to get out there, because we struggle with things. I struggle with things. You struggle with things. We all struggle with things. And guess what? We don't need to struggle. I just emailed you. I just replied to the last email that you had sent me. Copied and pasted the links. Regina, this was just such a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, because this has been a very interesting conversation. And, I think it applies to literally everyone, because we all have a life, and not one of us has a life that doesn't have, basically, we're just going to say it like it's coming to my head right now. We all have some shit going on.
We have some shit going on in our generation.
We really do.
Our generation is the sandwich generation.
Yeah.
Which I've been there, done that when I was younger. But
so that's another thing. We all need to connect with Andrea, and because it's these conversations help clear those cobwebs, help get you out of the chaotic space, and help move you forward and release that stuff, reframe all the bad stuff that's going on, so that you can keep moving forward, whether it's life, moving into a business. If you feel stuck in your business, it might not be your business that you're stuck in. It might be the life stuff that's holding you back from the business stuff. So, it's actually Andrea and I make a good tag team. So
that we do.
So
that we do.
Yeah. So thank you so much for being here. And don't forget to join us next time on Coffee with Regina. We'll see you all then. Bye for now.